Well, there everybody is. Good morning, Eric Cooper.
Hey, good morning, Ann. Good morning, everybody else. Great to be with you this morning.
Yeah, I have the share screen open. I see Gina's here. So that's good. Just counting all of our who's all here, right? Who's on first?
Exactly.
Yep. Anne Marie's here. Tom's here. Peter's here. Lisa's here. Everybody's here. Everybody who needs to be here. So it's right at 8 o'clock. And it's so good to see all of you this morning at the intersection. We're going to take a couple minutes for any announcements and just a couple minutes for a few more people to get into the Zoom. I want to remind everyone that this weekend, Compassionate USA will be launched nationally at the U.S. Conference of Mayors by our mayor, Ron Nirenberg. Eric Cooper is in that Compassionate USA material, and our San Antonio Food Bank is one of the partners for Compassionate USA, which all of you could be as well, and you are. You don't have to officially sign up, but that's how we're getting the word out there, is through these partnerships and agreements to be sharing the information with others. So the national launch is this Sunday. I'm going to do my best to get the live stream address to all of you before 11 a.m. on Sunday. But I'm pretty sure it's also going to be recorded. So if you're not able to see those 7 minutes live streamed, you might, when it actually happens, you could maybe watch it later. Our local launch is going to be Monday, June 26th at 6:30 p.m. And I'll just keep sending the information out. The location has been changed. It's the Alamo College's district offices, which is at 2222 North Alamo. The two mayors, Mayor Nirenberg and the mayor from Uvalde, will be there, and they will be starting and leading our community conversation that evening. So I really encourage you to come, if for no other reason, just to hear these two guys in conversation and why all of this work that we're doing is important and where it's leading us locally and nationally. Those are my two announcements. Do we have one or two other announcements that anybody wishes to share? Virginia.
Hi, I'm with the Baha'is of Bexar County, and I just wanted to remind everyone, I know it was mentioned before, that June 11th is Race Amity Day. Both Bexar County and San Antonio are going to sign proclamations to that effect, and we're having a festival on the 11th from 1 to 5 at Rosedale Park. And so we'd like to invite everyone, and I will post something in the chat so you can read about it and see the flyer that we've produced.
Thank you, Virginia. Thank you for the Baha'is for always bringing that reminder to us. And so glad we're able to do that kind of thing again. It was that pandemic really kind of like, but now we're back up and running again, which
Right.
is a part of community healing, by the way. Gathering together helps us to heal. Any one other last announcement? Well, again, thank you all for being here today. And now I'm going to turn it over to Eric Cooper, President CEO of the food bank here. And I know you all know how proud I am of our food bank and how in love I am. I've said it time and time again. So, and I can listen to Eric Cooper talk all day long. So I'm really looking forward to this. And I'm also, as a farm girl myself, really looking forward to learning more about what this means and how the community, how the faith community can be of help to whatever this process might be. So, Eric, please brief us, teach us. We're ready.
Well, number one, thank you, Ann, and we love you too. I'm gonna try to execute on a little bit of a PowerPoint deck. I've got some great staff joining me, Gina Macias, who looks after me and our board and all of our committees and kind of leadership engagement and strategy. And then Mario Bledo, who looks after our government relations and public policy. You all probably know Lauren Deal, who works in our interfaith partnerships, but really excited just to have some moments this morning with you. And Ann, thank you for leading the Compassionate USA work. My staff and others hear me preach that we believe that we're not going to solve hunger with a canned good. It's by building a community of compassion. So if we are going to end some of the root causes for poverty and affliction, it's going to be boosting conscience and really helping people live in their finest hour. And I think that's executed when we're more compassionate. So
I was thinking about that too, Eric. We talk about going upstream, right? In the work upstream. And the more I've been thinking about compassion, I mean, it's upstream, but it's more of a foundation.
yeah,
You know,
agree.
so I know it's metaphors and we're mixing a bit, but there's something really foundational to compassion that helps us in the upstream, the downstream, that, like it's a foundation that if we don't have something really strong that we're standing on, then how do we even go upstream or downstream, right? Anyway.
Yeah, no,
Foundation.
agree. Get that
Mhm.
foundation right, and
Mhm.
we'll avoid a lot of trouble downstream. So
Right.
all right, so you guys know your San Antonio Food Bank, but I thought I'd give you just a little bit of update, and for those that maybe aren't as familiar with us, a little bit of highlights. So next slide. We are a part of a national organization called Feeding America. There's 200 food banks in the United States. 21 of those are in the great state of Texas, and all 254 counties are served by Feeding America Food Bank. Our service territory is actually 29 counties. We cover a pretty large section of Southwest Texas, and within those 29 counties, we have close to 850 different partners now. So the slide mentions 500 plus, but we really work now in conjunction with a framework that we call Secure SA, which includes all of the faith-based emergency food pantries, traditional nonprofits, senior centers, and other organizations providing food. But then other partners like schools and hospitals, housing entities. We really try to work within food, housing, education, and employment. And so it's brought a whole bunch of new partners that help us connect families to food. Next slide. We deliver our services to families that are seeking to get help in three tiers. One that we call Food for Today, and it's really about helping families access groceries and meals in the immediate. So when their cupboards are bare or refrigerators are empty, they're either calling us, they're walking in, they're connecting online, or maybe they're being referred by a partner. But we're going to connect them wherever they are immediately to groceries or meals. Once we connect, we're able then to build that relationship and help that family or individual apply for public assistance. And we call that Food for Tomorrow. It's actually a much larger benefit if you think about in a 12-month period. The food bank will distribute a little over $150 million in food in our Food for Today strategy. But our Food for Tomorrow strategy is closer to $250 million worth of value. So it's a larger, more sustaining resource, and it just it really brings stability to a household. So programs like the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, SNAP, women, infants, and children, WIC, Medicaid, TANF, temporary assistance to needy families, long-term care for seniors, and the Children's Health Insurance program are just a few of the benefits we help families with. But depending on geography, we do utility assistance and other resources that can, again, stabilize that household. In that process of filling out the applications, we learn a lot about the families. And so who's working, who's not working, who's skilled, who's not skilled, kind of employed and underemployed. And so our Food for a Lifetime work is really about job training, job placement, really helping families gain more income. And so we work in a consortium of other organizations through Workforce Solutions Alamo and SA Ready to Work to really meet people where they're at, but help those individuals in a road towards employment. We really believe that people should work according to their ability, but receive according to their need. And so the opportunity for our clients, which in a weekly period, we feed about 105,000 people a week, and roughly a third are children, and a third are seniors. The middle third, kind of 18 to 65-year-olds, that's who we really are targeting to do what we can to help them move towards sustainable employment. So, on the give help side, we always need food through food drives and food collections. The bulk of our food comes from the food industry, from farmers, growers, food manufacturers, wholesalers, obviously incredible retailers, and nobody better than HEB. So they do us very well. But restaurants, hotels, caterers, any place where there's food that's produced that's not going to be consumed by its primary market, the food bank becomes a secondary market option, and we encourage everybody to donate. And so always advocate within your organizations to do food drives, but wherever you're purchasing the food for yourself and your families, ask them if they're donating to the food bank, and encourage them to do so. Time is the most treasured gift that we get, and now about 2,000 volunteers a week come through our doors to help us in our kitchens, on our farm, in the warehouse packing boxes, or out helping us with food distribution. So there's always an opportunity to bring a youth group or a Bible study. I always think of Sunday school as the place for lessons and curriculum, but the food bank is your lab. So please exercise your faith and come out, and I promise you will take back more than maybe you give. So money, we continue to run the food bank on 2% administrative overhead, and ROI of $1 equals 7 meals. And we want to make sure we continue to squeeze the buffalo off the nickel. That's where we're known for our efficiencies, and we really try to bend the cost curve around food and really deliver nutrition and healthy returns to the community. So voice is the last thing, and I think you're learning a little bit about the food bank right now. If some of this is new to you, please share a link to our website. Social media and people's individual communication platforms is our way of getting the word out, and we can use that communication and marketing. But the other ways people can lend voice is prayer. As you or your congregation are offering prayer, please consider praying for those that are struggling to put food on the table, and pray for those organizations that are responding, and pray for policymakers that make decisions on these safety net programs that serve the poor and needy. The other way you can raise your voice is really educating those elected officials on the impact of those safety net programs and how they support families in your parish, in your congregation, in your community, your neighborhood, and why it's important to support those programs. So next slide. In the spirit of that work, really prayer and advocacy, I'm asking you guys to lean in this year. We have a piece of legislation in the United States called the Farm Bill. And the Farm Bill is really this omnibus piece of legislation that includes lots and lots of things, but it's connected to food. And the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, SNAP, is within the Farm Bill, as are other programs that provide good nutrition to families. One specifically is the Emergency Food Assistance Program called TFAP. And that is what most people think of as USDA commodities. Now, when a market is struggling, let's say cranberries, the United States government through the USDA will rescue those cranberry farmers and help them regulate their market a little bit through subsidies. Generally, that's through a purchase of their crops. They'll process those cranberries, and then that food product will go into government entities, military, sometimes prisons, but a chunk of that comes to food banks across the country in that program, the Emergency Food Assistance Program. So the Farm Bill, like I said, every 5 years, it's being currently kind of discussed in Washington, both in the House and Senate. The Ag Committee looks after this, and the deadline to try to get a new Farm Bill would be the end of September this year. We're optimistic that that might happen, but in all reality, it will probably move into a continued resolution and possibly into the first part of 24 is probably when the debate will come to a conclusion, and hopefully we'll have a strong farm bill to support families. The opportunity is to raise your voice. I think sometimes people think that there should be a separation between church and state. And I think for a lot of reasons, that's good. But I'm going to ask you guys, if you wouldn't mind raising your voice to just educate, to inform, to share the importance of these programs. Because if these programs are threatened, what that means to the families and to organizations like your food bank is that we'll be tasked to make up the difference. For every one meal your San Antonio food bank puts on the table for families in need, the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, SNAP, actually puts out 9 meals. And so a small cut to these programs will cause the food bank and our food pantries to have to double in the resources that we need to be able to meet that shortfall that would be created from that cut. We'll send out this document because I know it's incredibly small print, but there's some great talking points and information for you guys as you educate elected officials about this program. The invite is we are working with all of the delegation from San Antonio, and Mario Blado handles that. And we've got everybody on board. But there's an opportunity in August when Congress is on recess to invite one of our new members, Monica De La Cruz, to the food bank for a listening session. It'll be a listening session that she'll be able to hear about the importance of the Farm Bill and the importance of SNAP. And we haven't been able to pin down the exact date, but we'll communicate through Ann. But we'd love for each one of you to join us on that day here at the food bank to all raise our voices for those that we serve and share with the Congresswoman, the importance of the SNAP program. I'm going to conclude there, open it up for some questions. I think you guys heard the ask. Here is my contact information. If there's any follow-up questions or anything like that. But does it feel like it's something you can get behind? Is my question to you all. Is this something you'd feel comfortable with? Thanks for the moments this morning.
Thanks, Eric. I have a couple thoughts, a point of kind of clarity in terms of like separation of church and state, which, I think that by perception and other things, it means different things to different people, right? But by and large, it came forward to keep the state out of the faith institutions. And I think sometimes we use it as a reason not to be involved, the people of faith. So it doesn't travel that way, although we use it that way sometimes so as not to be involved or have opinion or insights one way or the other, or to not be engaged in more civic work. But it's really the other direction, to keep the state out of the faithful institution. But that doesn't mean that our faith needs to be carried into the world. I even look to Eric, your own life and how your faith life, how it informs who you are in your position. And I don't think you hold back on that. You carry those ethics and values into the work you're doing at the food bank. So I'm wondering, you've invited voice, right? And thinking and learning and education. I think that's what I've heard in the ask, right? So if there's a step beyond that, like a real action step, not that those aren't action steps, but if there were like a definitive step that could make a difference, those things do. But is there such a step? Like, is it the calling of someone? Is it, what makes a difference in how these bills, that the farm bills, can be impacted?
Yeah,
Does
thank
that
you
make
so much.
sense?
It does, and thank you for that invitation. I think number one, that opportunity to just come, be present, show up in numbers at the listening session would be number one. As strategic would be a direct contact with our local elected officials on the importance of the Farm Bill, and it's just, if you know them, just say, hey, look, I know the food bank's anxious, I'm anxious, this is important stuff. The collision of, everything that's happening in Washington when it comes to the debt ceiling and that wrapping up puts pressure on these programs. There's a lot of conversation you've probably heard around work requirements. In Texas, it's always been a part of Texas policy that households that participate in the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program participate in work programs. So Texas already has it. I would submit that, it's really built off of this philosophy that SNAP should support life and not a lifestyle, right? And people should work according to their ability, which are all principles that I think are important. The challenge on the work requirement side is SNAP becomes, in large, a subsidy not to the family, but to the employer of the family, right? SNAP allows for low wages to exist. And when a family can't meet their needs, SNAP provides food so that the household has some level of nutrition. And so when it comes to work requirements, it's really about trying to find meaningful, sustainable work. And so we would encourage Congress to really, when you think about requiring work of a low wage worker, it doesn't really get at the root of the problem. They're trying to move people off SNAP. The way you move people off SNAP is by increasing their income, and you can increase their income by, encouraging more sustainable wages in the marketplace, which then reduces the need. So that's really the conversation about it, but it tends to be, hey, look, if you're getting this benefit, we want to make sure you're doing everything you can. And so that's where work requirements come in. They're quasi effective, right? Obviously, if you go straight back into a low wage job, you will eternally be eligible for SNAP because your income is low. They family benefits, but I'm telling you that the bigger benefit is that low wage employer who has no motivation to really pay more because, needs in some way are met.
So it's a system, right? These things are all connected. And I'm going to come back to compassion because it's all about the systems and being able to look. I really appreciate that description because you've connected the system and how it's failing itself, right? So we've got to do something to shift that. We've got some questions, Beverly, and then Kimberly.
Well, good morning to you and Eric. I would just want to say a big shout out and thank you to all that you do. These past summers, you have provided food for all of the children that are in our summer camp, and then along with the box that you guys should know that he not only does help us with the food for the youth development camp, he also provides a box for them to take home over the weekend. And I cannot tell you how much that has meant. And I want to thank you for being our partner this year. We've got 200 young people who have done pre-registration. So we haven't even got to registration yet, but I want to thank you for that. But one of the exercises that I thought in trying to do something unique or something that may have an impact on the Congresswoman is maybe during one of our sessions, we can ask our young people to write a letter and then deliver them to you from her. Do you want it specifically to her?
That would be great. Mario can chime in a little bit on that, but I think those are always effective, and
They are.
And really thank you for that offer, because I think it gets twofold. It gets young people involved in raising their voice early, and that's important mentoring, and then two, boy, nothing more powerful than hearing a child's voice. So yeah, that'd be great.
Okay. All right. Thanks for everything. Just keep the faith, and as we say, we got you.
Yeah, thank you.
I love
Mario,
that
did you-
innovation and creative thought, like how can we approach this in a different way? Thanks, Beverly. Kimberly, you want to open your mic?
Yes. Hi. I just wanted to say thank you for pointing out how the system benefits low wage paying employers. Being as somebody who receives currently SNAP benefits myself, even though I'm employed, I'm engaged in national service through my employment. So I do qualify for that because I make a very, very low income. But knowing from not having a low wage job period where all my income counted, if you make any moves to get better, if you get any type of raise, if you start moving forward, then they cut all your benefits and they basically strangle into staying at that low wage job, because any ground that you can gain, they immediately take benefits away from you and then just put you back into a lurch again. So I just wanted to say thank you for bringing light to that, because I don't think a lot of people really understand how difficult it is to move out of a system once you become a part of it.
Yeah, no, wow. Just thank you for that comment. That's a voice that needs to be heard, and thank you for sharing. Definitely the benefit cliff is always a danger with these programs. You have to have tandem strategies. You got to take care of the need as you're moving folks forward. And yeah, I mean, that's making that full connection. So thank you for your testimony on that.
Beverly, do you have another comment?
I do. I was just trying to understand the slide that had the information. Are we going to somehow, will you forward us that if it's in the chat, and also the date? Only because I didn't, his voice went in and out, so I didn't hear the date.
Yeah, sorry about that. So we are working with the Congresswoman right now to set that date for August recess.
Okay.
Mario, is there any updates on that?
No, well, no, and let me just talk a little bit about our work regarding the Farm Bill and how we connect with our federal friends. And we do a lot of advocacy and connecting with lawmakers and staff. So we have a great delegation, as Eric alluded to earlier, very supportive, all on board, right? And so, you know, my role here as the Chief of Government and Public Affairs, I work with my counterparts at our sister food banks across our state and then also across the country. So Feeding America, Feeding Texas. And we do connect with folks, you know, via phone and text, but in person, in district, but also on the Hill. And so over the course of the last several months, we've been up in DC a few times already, talking about the Farm Bill. Now, Eric alluded to Monica Dela Cruz, who's one of our freshman Congress ladies, who is on the House Ag Committee. Now, we do also have another freshman congressional member by the name of Greg Casar, who's on the Ag Committee as well. And so both congressional members have been a focus of ours since they got sworn in. Their staff has been great to work with. We had a Farm Bill listening session with Congressman Casar that was great here at the food bank. As far as August is concerned, we are targeting August. There's no definite date yet. It could be pushed past that. So do know that as they're dealing with the debt ceiling debate, but also as, again, she's a freshman, she's trying to get to that August recess. And so they're trying to prioritize her visits throughout her district. Now, her district is primarily rural. So it covers a couple of our counties, specifically Guadalupe. So that's Seguin. And Wilson, so that's Floresville, and then Karnes City and Kennedy. But it also touches a couple of other areas in our state where our sister food banks from the Gulf Coast, Corpus Christi, and the Rio RGV food bank down in the Rio Grande Valley. And so she has 3 food banks in her district, and we're working with those other food banks and then folks from our rural counties on this proposed Farm Bill listening session. We're very excited for it, but we have to wait for that date. And again, it could be in August or it could be a little bit later, but we're optimistic and we'll keep working on that. Beverly, you mentioned about the kids writing letters, and thank you for all that you do on the East Side as a great partner of ours. And that would be great if you can get the youngsters to write Monica and express the importance of the Farm Bill. I do have an example here. Over the years, Feeding America and Feeding Texas and the San Antonio Food Bank, it's been some time now, but we participated in a paper plate campaign where we had clients and folks throughout our service territory write the importance of federal food and nutrition programs. And we took these up to Washington, DC, so then lawmakers could see and read them. So the letter writing campaign could be very powerful. And if you want to connect after this call, we can certainly provide some content and some guidance and help the kids, and even show up and maybe do a little presentation for them as well, as we did some years with our clients on the paper.
We'll do that. And I love the paper plate idea. We'll use that.
Good.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we're going to take a brief pause here. I hope that's okay. I'm also wondering, Eric, if you can stay just a little bit longer, but it's just a little past 8:30 and some folks have already started leaving because we try to get the most of it before 8:30. So thank you for, if you're needing to leave, thank you for being with us this morning. I'm showing you a picture of my mom. And this is my front yard, literally out the front door, growing up. And I know people don't believe me, but she's about a little over 5 feet tall. But the corn in Illinois can grow to 15 feet. People don't believe that, but it is true. Black topsoil, 10 to 15 feet deep. So anyway, I thought it was a great pause. Next week, we're going to start a summer series. We did a summer series last year on the collaboratives in San Antonio and what each one is doing. We're going to go into the Compassionate USA resources and do that together. And I'm also going to suggest that we take the Farm Bill and other things that we've been looking at, but I want to start with the Farm Bill next week as we look at compassion and then utilize different things that we're working on and how do they fit in? How do those things translate? How does compassion translate into these real concerns and issues and things that we're about? So anyway, that's what we're going to start next week through the summer, and I'll be sending information out about that. So if you need to leave us this morning, have a great day. And everybody, say a prayer for my mom. She's not doing great these days at 98, but I come from a good gene pool and, really nice, deep black soil. So other questions, thoughts, insights for the Farm Bill this morning? I just killed all the conversation. It wasn't meant to do that. It doesn't normally.
That was a drop the mic photo.
Was it?
That was beautiful. And I
Oh.
think, and really captures the essence of, agriculture and people and tradition and pride and all of that. So, I will, as a creative strategy, Mario is actually headed to DC this month with 3 individuals that have received food from the food bank, individuals with lived experience who are food insecure. They'll be spending a few days in Washington, meeting with elected officials, raising their voice. And so just really trying to do everything we can. So if you do have creative ideas or approaches or things that you think help build compassion, right? Help people. I tend to think, the work of the food bank is about bringing understanding, and that once people understand, then surely they'll be compassionate. But my staff reminds me that's sometimes a little naive. You have to really explain it and push and show and demonstrate so that people feel. And so just again, Anne, thank you for this privilege of just being able to get in front of everybody this morning and know how much we love you. If there's any other thing that we can do, obviously the Farm Bill is just a big piece and it's an ask from us, but if there's a need in your neighborhood or community that we can help with, reach out. We are here to help and serve and want to partner. So
I think Peter has his hand up.
Yes, thank you, Ann, and thank you, Eric, for the great work. Y'all have done just an incredible service to our community. And our question is, as far as that model that you laid out, I mean, I think that's very impressive on how you're trying to move people to subsistence, right? To be self-sustaining. And is there any case study being done, or are you working in collaborative effort that you can really make a case for a model that how this is working? I think San Antonio is a gold standard for collaboration. Thank you, Anne. And I don't know if you have anything like that in place already that you can see building a case where we can show the way on how that bridge can be made, like what Kendra shared. I mean, I think that story needs to be told, but I think a solution being put in place to really address that component.
Yeah, thank you so much for that comment, Peter. And I think we share our model with all the food banks, and it's in some ways humbling to see the uptake and how people appreciate the framework of kind of today, tomorrow, and a lifetime, just that progression. You know, Anne's heard me preach this before, but you know, oftentimes in my work, people will come at me with, "Hey, Eric, you know, it's great that you're feeding people and getting them food, but you know, if you give a man a fish, you fed him for a day. If you teach him how to fish, you'll feed him for a lifetime." And I quickly respond, "Well, if you don't pack a tuna fish sandwich, she's not going to meet you at the dock, right?" I say she because that's our typical client: female, Hispanic, parent, working, right? Female, Hispanic, parent, working. That's the most common profile of the recipient. Working as Kendra in a job that doesn't pay. So she wants to learn how to fish. She wants her wage to go up, but her babies are hungry. And so you have to do that tandem approach. You also have to know that the fishing industry pays, because if we trained her for a job that keeps her in this system, we're not shortening our line. We're committed to always feed our line. We're going to do what we can to nourish. But if we don't work in that line to shorten it, to try to figure out these stepping stones of today, tomorrow, and a lifetime, candidly, the line is just getting longer. The opposition in the marketplace with inflation and I mean, you all have felt it, right? Housing, and was a champion of housing for residents in our community, right? For every single household in San Antonio, rent eats first. Rent eats first, right? It's that household expense that's going to take the biggest bite of your income. And what's left over, you're paying utilities, transportation expenses, and there's just nothing left over for food. So programs like SNAP put food on the table, and that's why we're asking you guys to champion it.
Kendra Lee, I think we have time for one last comment question. You want to open your mic?
Thank you.
Yeah, I just wanted to say there's an interest in the system for people that have been previously incarcerated. If you've ever had a drug charge, you cannot receive SNAP benefits, and you cannot get a job that is going to pay you a decent wage. And you want these people to reintegrate into society and meet all these appointments and tests, but they can't get assistance they need to be able to eat, but they have to have a job, but they can't get a job that pays enough to feed them. And that causes recidivism to extraordinary rate. And I don't know if everybody knows this, but the Bexar County Sheriff is having a very hard time staffing. Their jail is completely full. The governor will not come get his prisoners because he has a problem with our Democratic sheriff or whatever his issues are. I mean, I guess I don't really know, but our jails are full, and we have sheriffs that are literally driving off the road because they're working 14-hour shifts. And if we keep on setting people up to be put into prison and jail, when they get out, they can't be rehabilitated. It's not going to stop. There's no amount of money that can stop that. We do have to change these systems.
So I just want to really quickly highlight. So thank you so much for that comment. And but it really pins today's summing it up, that we can have success if we raise our voice. So Texas used to not allow drug felons to receive SNAP. It was an automatic disqualifier. If you were a drug felon in Texas, you could never get lifetime ban. So last session, we were able to get our legislators to appeal that so that it allows for anyone coming out of incarceration with that drug felony to be able to apply for SNAP. Mario's been in Austin. I think there's like ruts in I-35. He's driven back and forth so much because the next win it's close. The governor, I think, still has to sign it. Is that right, Mario? I don't know if
Yes.
we're supposed to, I don't know if we're supposed to talk about this because we're kind of in the secret
Yeah.
phase now. But that the challenge that we're experiencing now that they can qualify is that it's not until they're released and then they apply, and then the delays it takes to actually get the benefits, it makes it really difficult for folks that are exiting the system to be able to sustain themselves. So we're actually proposing a bill that would allow for folks that are incarcerated to be able to apply pre-release for SNAP, so that when they are released, they have that benefit waiting for them, so that they'll be able to get access to good nutrition upon release. So that's all because of raising our voice and helping people understand the importance of these programs and changing some of these policies that don't work. And that's going to be a continued conversation to continue to shape what's working, what's not working, but it won't happen unless we raise our voice. And so those that are in the space oftentimes are voiceless. And so it takes folks like us to really lean in and do what we can. So
and Eric, that's HB 1743 by Representative Leach, and then on the Senate side, Senator West helped us with that, and we are waiting for the governor to sign that now. So hopefully that'll happen, and we'll get that done for the formerly incarcerated or folks that are incarcerated and coming out. That 30-day jumpstart on trying to access the SNAP programs. And I did want to mention something. Mayor Nurnberg, great proponent on a lot of things, all the work you're doing, and just a great mayor for our city. And yesterday, the VA secretary visited the San Antonio Food Bank, and so did Mayor Nurnberg. And we walked and talked and focused on military hunger, which is a big priority for Feeding America, Feeding Texas, and the San Antonio Food Bank. But we also talked about the Farm Bill and the importance of the Farm Bill. And the secretary was tracking that because he's friends with USDA Secretary Bill Sack. So he was, we were educating him, or trying to, but he was already educated on the issue. And so he's going to try to talk to the secretary and see what they can do on that end. But it was a great visit. And again, our mayor is a great proponent and a great advocate for our community. So.
Well, thank you. We are past my final time of 8:45. But I know Anne Marie has had her hand up. I'm willing to stay on about 5 more minutes. Others who might need to leave, feel free to do that. I've also queued up Eric Cooper on the Compassionate USA video as a teaser for next week. So if anybody wants to stay, and I think it's about a minute's worth, but just a little taste of Compassionate USA. So Anne Marie, can we keep it tight?
I just wanted to share some good news about a friend I had been helping. He was, or he is a 19-year-old with 2 felonies, grew up with the gangs, that whole, the whole thing. And he wanted to change his life, turn his life around, got him into the Ready to Work program. And although it was a little slow with him getting work coming out of the program, he did end up with a certification, with a forklift certification. And then in January, that was in December. And then in January, he got a wonderful job at Pepsi with benefits and the whole thing. So he's very, very happy. And, he knows that he's on the path to lift himself out of poverty and to lay out a future for his daughter. So he knows how important this is. So
I think you should take Anne Marie to DC with you. Because this is not, no, I'm serious. This is not Anne Marie's job. She teaches French, right? She does this. Anybody can do this, right?
Yes,
Anne Marie is a perfect example who's helping more than one person. And we know research tells us that thriving happens, that turning transformation happens with a human companion or a human mentor. I mean, whatever you want to call that, at least one other human helping you down the path makes the difference. So we can have all the systems in the world, but if we're not walking together with somebody, or somebody's not walking, that makes the turn. So
100%, Ann. Thank you for saying that.
100%. Okay, so here's our teaser with Eric Cooper. Let's hope it works. Look at him. I think he's blushing. The master of conversation, right?
My mom would be proud.
This is the one on systems. There are 6 videos, less than 7 minutes each, within Compassionate USA. And this is the one on systems. Wait, stop. Here we go. Had it all cued right.
Our philosophy here at the food bank is that we serve the entire community, both those with resources and those without. We're wanting to make sure both are living their best life, and I think compassion holds it all together. It's when someone's selfless and sharing and caring, or when someone's in need and is humble and receiving. Those two things come together here at the food bank, and we witness that miracle of compassion every day. Over the years, many elected officials have stated that the best welfare program is spelled J-O-B. I believe in the power of work. People should work according to their ability, but receive according to their need. Living wages start to be how an employer shows equity and belief that they want to provide for their worker. The interdependencies of compassion and sustainability are oftentimes manifested in an hourly wage. Minimum wage should have a maximum age. It can't sustain a parent. It can't sustain a household. I don't believe we're going to solve hunger with a canned good. I believe it's through building a community of compassion. Hunger, in a lot of ways, isn't about food. It's really about resources and income. And so our society has to have upward mobility and opportunity. All sectors have to be firing in affordable housing and access to education, but meaningful employment that's sustainable, is going to be provided from a market that is compassionate.
Now let's hear from Ray Saldana, the CEO of Communities in Schools.
There you have it.
Man,
Yay.
wow. You guys made me look good.
They're really great videos, and the micro course are excellent. So I'm looking forward to going through that with some folks. So everyone have great weekends. Thank you. And we're going to continue this conversation with the Farm Bill, at least for part of our Compassionate USA summer series. Thank you all so much. Great weekends.
Thank you all. Thanks, Ann. Love you guys.
Thank you.
You too.